All right, so I want to talk a little bit today about processing. So, one of my favorite stories in the Bible is the story of Moses. We know that the Lord talked to Moses face to face, and he didn't talk to any of his prophets like how he spoke to Moses. They just had this special type of relationship. But you got to go through and read Exodus 3. It's one of the most hilarious stories that you'll read in the Bible. I remember first reading the Bible a long time ago, and I could not stop laughing at this scripture. And the reason why is because the Lord talks to Moses at the burning bush, right? And he's talking to him and he's telling him that, look, this is chapter 3, verse 7. He's like, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out. I have come down to rescue them, right? I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. So the Lord is like, I have, and I'm sending you. But look how Moses responds. Moses is going through it. He's in a situation. Listen to how Moses responds, and many of you may resonate with this. He's like, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? So the Lord has to reassure him, like, I'll be with you. Don't worry, right? And Moses is like, suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, like he's trying to wrap his head around it. The God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they asked me, what is your name? Then what am I supposed to tell them? God is like, hey, I am who I am. Tell them that. Right? So then God gives him further instructions. Go ahead, get the Israelites together, get the elders. This is what you're going to do. And then Moses is still like, after he's given them the instruction, after he's reassured them, after he's like, I'm going to be with you, Moses is still like, what? Now we're in a whole nother chapter. We're in chapter 4. Moses is like, what if they do not believe me or listen to me and say, the Lord did not appear to you? Then the Lord's like, okay, here are signs that you can do to prove to him. Like, the Lord's with him. I'm addressing your fears and I'm giving you something to be able to assure you that it's you that I've called and this thing will be successful, right? And Moses is still like, pardon your servant, Lord, because he know he's doing the most. I have never been eloquent, neither in the past, nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue. And the Lord is like, who gave human beings their mouth? Right? But then Moses comes back again and is like, pardon your servant, Lord. Please send someone else, right? Then that's when the Lord's anger burns, it says. And he's like, okay, what about your brother? What about your brother Aaron? Go take your brother Aaron. You speak through him. Give him the words to be able to say, and let him go out and say it. And I will help both of you speak and teach what you are to do. But look, the reason why it's so funny, because it comes on the heels of like Noah, God tells Noah to go build the ark. He's going to flood the earth. He's going to do all this stuff. And it says, and Noah went and did what the Lord told him to do. He tells Abraham, go and sacrifice your son. And Abraham went. It's on the heels of so many people that the Lord instructed, and they just went. And here is Moses. Moses got issues. Moses is like, please, just send someone else. This ain't for me, right? And how is that so many of us feel the same way? We're like, wait a minute. No, how is this even what am I gonna, like, this is wild. What? Like, you can see Moses try to like grapple with it. But here, what's so incredible, because we also do the same thing, right? The Lord calls us to do something and we're just like, oh no, I can't even see it. Like, what? But I want you to take a look though, when it comes to Deuteronomy. Look at the end of Deuteronomy. And this is at the point where Moses, he's getting ready to die. And he's done what the Lord has told him to do. Not perfect, but he's done what the Lord has asked him to do. And this man who was so fearful, who was so frightened, who was willing to talk to the I am that I am and tell him, no, send somebody else, please, and was so focused on his inadequacies, so focused on what he couldn't do. I'm slow to speak. I'm not eloquent. That by the time you get to chapter 29, that's all he's doing is speaking. And he delivers such powerful speeches. Look, Moses summons all the Israelites together and he says to them, and he's just talking to them. And knows he's getting ready to die. So he's getting ready to do this transfer of power over to Joshua, but he's just preparing them. And he just spends this whole time just going over all the things that they had went through on their journey together in the wilderness, preparing them for what they're supposed to do in the promised land. The whole chapter 29, he's talking to them. Go to chapter 30. The whole chapter 30, he's just talking to them, talking about making sure that they understand that if they keep the commands of the Lord, that they will be blessed. He goes on to chapter 31, and he went out and spoke these words to all of Israel. He didn't stop speaking. He's still speaking to them. He's talking about the public reading of the law, about this land that they're going to take over, and making sure that as they go into it, they're being strong, they're being courageous. The Lord gives Moses a song, and this song is about 2 pages in my Bible long. It's about a whole chapter. He gives them the song to be able to sing. Chapter 33, Moses is blessing the tribes, and it goes on for the whole chapter. Chapters 29 through 33, Moses can't stop talking. He's just talking to them and informing them and blessing them and doing so many things. I want you to understand what will happen if you say yes to God. If you say yes to God, even when you feel like you can't do it, even if you feel like you're inadequate, even if you feel like you are not the one to do it, that you couldn't possibly do it, if you say your yes to God and you go on this journey with God to be able to process you and to be able to obey his instructions, do what it is that he's asking you to do, and develop this intimacy, develop this relationship with the Lord, I need you to know that the Lord will enable you to be able to do it. And on the other side of this thing, you will surprise yourself. You will look in the mirror and not even recognize the person looking back in it, because this once fearful, once intimidated individual, insecure individual, is now this person that's walking in power, walking in boldness, and walking in assuredness of what it is that they are doing. Give the time for the Lord to be able to prosper you and reveal his power through you. God got you. He doesn't need your competence. He needs your yes.